Be'ezras Hashem Yitbarach. Yom Sheni Parshas Vayeira. Shnas Tovshin Ayin Ches. Yeshiva Tiferes Avigdor. You want to understand what was the Chiddush in Avram's Chesed. Koydem Avram, did people not do Chesed for each other? Was there no such a concept of inviting people and doing Chesed? The Gemara says that the Umim had a shaykhis to Chesed. Said Chesed le'umim. Yet the Gemara says, the pasuk says, Chesed le'umim is chatos. So the question is, wherein lies the difference? So there are a number of differences. The Chesed of Avram, the Gemara says like this: Bava Basra, the Chesed of the Umim, number one, they do it lehisgadeh. Second, they do it in order that their malchus should continue. And the third thing, they do it lehisyorba, to pride themselves. Till Avram Avinu, and after Avram Avinu, Avigdor was chesed by the Umim. But what there wasn't a concept of doing chesed to develop for the sole purpose of developing myself. If you wanted to win friends, you did chesed. I've told many a child who told me that he was challenged with kids in the class, and the parents called me and they asked me, do you have any ideas? I said, I have a very poshut idea. Tell your son to do chesed with the bully. How so? Buy a bag of potato chips for your son and for the bully. And tomorrow, before the bully gets a chance to bully him, tell him to go over and try to bribe him with chesed. Give him potato chips. I remember once there was a bacher in the yeshiva that was suffering terribly from a certain person. And he came to me and he said to me, what can I do to get this guy to get off my back? I said, do chesed with him. He said, what kind of chesed? I said, give him covet. He said, there's nothing to be mechaber him. He said, the guy mamish oizvarv. I said, everybody has something mechaber. He said, can you give me an idea? I said, yeah, sure. I'm sure that this bacher is considered a cool guy. Yes. I said, this bacher, I'm sure, considers himself a clothing specialist. Go over and ask him if he could give you some advice about clothing. I said, are you serious? I said, it's going to work like a charm. You're going to own him. And so what should I ask him? Ask him, what's the mahalach to pick good ties? He said, the guy's not going to punch me in the face? He's not going to see through it? I said, the guy is so desperate for covet. Now, I got from my Talmidim, I learned a new thing to ask about. How do you pick socks? But a person has to understand, you go over to somebody and you say to the guy, tell me what's the specialty here? Anything? He went over to the guy became His best friend came to me after and says, I don't want to have shaykhs to this guy. He's not holy by learning, I don't want shaykhs to the guy. I just smiled. You're happy this way, then the other way. Every day he was coming new information about this kind of tie, that kind of tie, white ties, thin ties, polyester, silk, all kind of ties he had. A person has to realize, but that's not chesed. That's called netila. Most people who do chesed is netila. Not only is chesed lu'umim chatas, but shteit niyane Gemara, these three things, when a person does it lehis gadol, or kadeshin kimoshech malchusa, or lehis yoher, those three ingredients, common denominator, it's all self-serving. You're doing chesed for yourself. That's not called chesed, it's not tzedakah. What it is netila, it's taking. Avram Avinu had no interest to make himself a melech. He wasn't interested in his yoyer. He wasn't interested in his gadol. He wanted to develop his koyach of nesina. Now the difference between Avram Avinu's chesed and the Ummah Sa'olam's chesed, because Avram Avinu was doing it for halachta v'drachav. He was doing it to cling to the midos of Hashem. I'll tell you a little secret. If you do chesed to a person who doesn't need chesed and who's not going to appreciate it, that's real chesed. Many times people tell me, why should I do that fellow a chesed? He doesn't appreciate what I do for him. What the answer is? Because you're not a sheikhs. If you were a guy who does chesed to serve himself, to serve his own interests, you're 100% right. If that's the premise that I need to feel, made to feel better, I have to feel his gadol, his yoyer, you should give me a job, you're running for votes, you're running for a position, so then, you're right, the guy's not going to vote for you, don't give him a pin. Don't give him a flag. But if a person does chesed in order to become a giver, that's a much greater exercise in giving when you give to somebody who won't appreciate it and won't need it. The Gemara says in Sukkah that the reason why chesed is greater than tzedakah is because tzedakah is la'aniyim and chesed is to aniyim and to ashir. Chesed is even to a goy. Avram Avinu wanted to do chesed to these people just l'man chesed, because he wanted to do it l'man himself to be a noisim. How could I go one day and not emulate Hashem Yisbarach? This is a whole new look and a whole new idea of chesed. Means I'm developing, I'm breaking myself and becoming a noisim, becoming a giver. The big problem arises is when you do a favor for somebody and the guy says, wow, do I appreciate what you did to me. That's the worst thing. When I hear that, every time I hear that, I say, oh, Shrek. Because now I'm thinking, guys, I'm losing all. I wants to feel good. A bench the bench, right? Person feels good. And when the guy tells you that, all of a sudden the Yitzhar tells you, no, you see, it was worth it. You made a investment and the investment paid off. You made ashkoya and it paid off. No. Be appreciated. And it has nothing to do with me. A person has to go out of his way. That's the idea of giving matan b'seiser. If you give matan b'seiser, so then it's a real chesed, because the guy doesn't know that you're doing the chesed. You're not getting the appreciation. I learned from my Rebbe, when he would be machalik moyes to people, he would put it near their door. And then he would walk away. That's how we do it. They could tell by he wrote Kvoid, HaRav, and the Brisker handwriting is like patented. You can tell if it's a Brisker who wrote it, they all write the exact same fashion. But snicker. But a person has to realize that this is what you have to try to do. And the whole idea is to develop a kesher with the Rebbeinu Shalom. Hashem, I'm emulating your ways, I'm going in your ways, I'm doing what you do, Hashem. Hashem is a goymel chasadim tovim. Know what that means, goymel chasadim tovim? Hashem, it doesn't make no sense. The word goymel chasadim tovim makes no sense. You know why, Shemara? What does the word goymel mean? Said it a few times. You know what goymel means, Moshe? Shimon, you know what goymel means?
Thank you.
Thank you? Goymel, I didn't say toda rabba. Goymel comes from paying back. That's what gemul is. Gemul, goymlin, paying. The chayra doesn't make any sense. What's the pshat? Hashem is goymel, he pays you chasadim tovim. He's nice in chasadim tovim. He's ois in chasadim tovim. No, you know what Hashem does chesed for me? He does it in such a way that I feel that it's kumeh. I feel He owes it to me. You created me, Hashem. You got to keep me alive. You got to keep me healthy. A person naturally doesn't feel like Hashem's doing him a chesed. The Gemara says that every time you do a guy a chesed, that means you're doing him a rishis. You know why? The Gemara says SHLITA, the chayayim, their lives are not lives. You know what the Gemara says? A mitzapa l'shulchan achayrim. Someone who relies on somebody else for his sustenance, his life is nishke life. It says Saynim atan zichya. What does it mean? Because to the degree that that guy is dependent on you, so what you need to do is, you're showing the guy, you're dependent on me, so I'm taking away from your chayim. There's always an aliyah of a kaitzvah. I'm giving you a chesed. But remember, this chesed is letting you know that you were totally in me. And avivait, you were dependent upon me. I was megareya, I diminished the quality of your life. A person who feels dependent on somebody else is an avdus, and that's a diminishment. That's chayim. So the whole job when you do a chesed to somebody is to do it in such a way where the guy feels that it's a kumta. So he doesn't feel so indebted to you. And he may not feel such appreciation. I remember a guy came to my house and said he needed a few bucks. I said, how much do you need? He said, I need $20. I said, no problem. I said, I have a job for you. Can you do a job? I said, what do you know how to do? He said, he can fix things. I said, okay. I said, I have one screw that needs to be put in. And I'm clumsy with my hands. Could you put the one screw in? He said, but I don't have any tools. I said, you don't need this. It's the screw that goes in on a door. All you had to do is put the thing in and stick the screw inside and just turn it like this. I said, I'm clumsy. Can you do it for me? So he did it. It took him 10 seconds. So I said, how much do I owe you? He said, $40. I was out of that. I said, you crazy? I said, $40? Yeah, I just fixed your thing. I was thinking, I did the job too good here. You know what I mean? Pushing, help did the job. But the idea is whenever you could be mative with somebody and you could make the guy feel that he's not indebted to you, that's the ultimate chesed. When Avram Avinu did a guy a chesed, he let them know it's not me doing your chesed. This chesed is from Hashem. I'm just making you aware Hashem created it for you. All I did was deliver it to you. It was really yours. I was the shomer on it. I was the delivery boy. So the most you give me is kivusa l'shake. You have to appreciate that I'm serving it. But whose food is it? It's your food. It's a very important lesson. I want to hear that's the pshat. Hoidu la Hashem ki toiv ki la'olam chastei. Because when Hashem does you a toiva, you never feel that you lost your independence. You don't feel like you're an eved. You don't feel like it's not megarei yachai. Saying matana sich is only when you get a matana from somebody else. When you get a matana from Hashem, the whole kunz is how to figure out how to be mated with another person in such a way. See, it says, we mentioned we resent it because it's a gilui. It's a gilui that we're only doing it to get something out of it. It's not a ma'aseh of the scene of giving, it's a ma'aseh of taking. Now, Rabbi Yeruchim once said in the Shmuz, the Bachrim, that I want to reveal to you a soid gadol from the following medrash, and in that medrash he said comes out a ganze naye Torah chadash, a whole new Torah, a whole new perspective on no Torah. Quoted a medrash in Parshas Mishpatim. It says, Vayeira ha-mishpatim, these are the judicial laws of the Torah, the monistic laws. And he says, Marshall, there was a noble woman who was walking in the street, and she had, on both sides of her, she had an entourage, security detail, covered detail. Vehi be'emtza, and she's in the middle. Kach ha-Torah, dinin milfoneha, there's dinim in the front, dinin me'achareha. Vehi be'emtza, and she was in the middle. So the chayra, know what that's like saying? What is it saying over here? It's saying the Torah has dinin milfoneha and dinin mil'achareha. So, first of all, he says, isn't the dinim part of Torah? And who's in the middle? Tzedakah is in the middle. Chesed's in the middle. Chesed is Torah, and dinim of Torah, everything is Torah. He says, Chazal say that the Seder Nezikin, all Seder Nezikin is a security detail. It's zin milufanea umeachareha. So he explains, in a Malchus, there are many different divisions. And every division has its own little world. The Ministry of Defense, the Ministry of Economics, every minister have his own halach, and it's very mesuder. Now, one has no shaykhs to the other. But the fact of the matter is, what are they all serving? They're all serving the Malchus. They're not Malchus itself. All the aspects and parts of government serve the government. Even the Congress has its own leaders, Senate has its own leaders, own buildings. She says, you have to know, everything is there to support the Malchus itself. He says you have to know in Torah there are many departments. Many departments. There's Mishpat, and there's Emes, there's Yosher, there's Anova, and similarly, many things. And every one is a whole building by itself, a whole division. Ha'olam mole. But the Chut HaShedra, if you want to know what's the central line of the Torah, that everything is there to support, Chatz Chesed. The Chut HaShedra of the Torah, he says, you want to know what the whole purpose of Mishpat is? To guard and ensure that the chesed won't be diminished. The purpose is to develop chesed. All the laws in every aspect in Yeridea, all the halachas of Choshe Mishpat, and Even Ezer, and Yoreh Chaim, all the halachas are all halachas of Shmiras HaMishpat. Shmiras HaChesed. It's unbelievable, he says. This chesed, the emes, he says, there's a chesed sheleinu shel emes and a chesed shel emes. You have to know, if you're not emes, to be shomer chesed, you have to make sure it's a chesed shel emes. The ganze bria, he says, is chesed. It's amazing yisoid. He said it comes out, this is a mapecha gedoyle, he says. He told the Talmidim, this is mamish, a himmel rice. Changes the whole viewpoint of the Torah, he says. He says, we are studying yeshiva, he says, Seder Nezikin. We're handling in all the details of Mishpat. Hashem's Avigdor, Dalvavas Mazikin, property rights, Shchenim rights, Nizke Shchenim, David. All the laws of Bav Basra, Bav Kaba, Bav Tzir, out. And you know what it all is about? It's all in order you should be Isaac B'yani Chesed, to be Shemer Chesed. That's all. As Chol is, how do you do it?
No.
I'll tell you how. Because if a person, one of the things that's machazik, that strengthens Chesed is, don't touch another person's things. Don't touch a finger on another person. That's how you Shemer Chesed. When I see Hashem Saveda, Torah says, give the guy back his Aveda. You found the Aveda, take it in your house, and be shamer it, and care for it, and do all kind of things to it. That's all machazik chesed. Everything, the whole bamitzia, all bavakam, all the avalos mazikin. Be careful where your animals go, be careful where you put mechshelim in the street, be careful at your fires in your own backyard. It's all for shmiras hachesed. He said, and that's why, by Sedoim, he says, even though the Anshe Sedoim Royim Lechatayim Hashem Oit, they had terrible things. Gibel Chamuris they had. Gili Arayas and Evil Sadin. You know what the thing Hashem destroyed them for? Because Yad Oni Ve'evyin Lo Yichzika. Because they didn't take care of Ani and Ve'evyin. Yeah? That's how fulfilled. For no other chet did Stoim get destroyed other than this chet. It's marvel of the right. Marvel of the right. Now, the Chofetz Chaim writes a chiddush at the end of his psicha in a footnote to the Sefer Avos Chesed. And he writes something that is mamish mavel al harayim. And he says that there are 3 psukim in Sefer Devarim, Sach. You know the psukim? The first pasuk says, V'shamarta es mitzvahs Hashem Elokecha. You should be shomer the mitzvahs of Hashem Elokecha, loleches b'drachav, uliyira isay. So it says, halicha b'drachav precedes yiras Hashem. What does it mean, halicha b'drachav? We said yesterday, doing acts, emulating Hashem's acts of kindness. That's how you're heilig b'drachav, Daniel. Daniel, you up ready? You got to notice. This is up your alley. You got to develop this. Alicha b'drachav, you do that, then you go to Yiras Hashem. Later on in that same pasuk it says, "Va'ata Yisroel mo Hashem Elokecha shoyel me'imach, ki im liyira es Hashem Elokecha lo leches b'drachav." It says Yira first, And then it says halicha b'drachav. Yeah. And in Shvi, in that parsha, it says, la'ahavos Hashem, you should have avos Hashem shal Yehuda, lo leches b'chol drachav, u'ledavkav. It says ava first, and then halicha b'drachav. So what's the seder of events, he says? So he says there are 3 madregas in avodas Hashem. The basic level, you relate to Hashem with awe, with yira. What's on top of that? Next level is, after yira, help me out, ava. After yira goes avos Hashem. Your chassid, you should know this. Avos Hashem, right? Now, on top of that is what? Dveikus b'Hashem. Dveikus b'Hashem. That's the next thing. What's the chilik between ahava and dveikus? Ahava means, even if once in a while your heart becomes aroused and you feel emotional about Hashem, to ava, that's called avos Hashem. Dveikus means you're always in that state. It's very hard for a person to be constantly in a state of avos Hashem. Now, if a person gets dveikus, the guy becomes one with Hashem. So he says the Torah is teaching us as follows. If you want to get anywhere in any level, you want to get to Yiras Hashem, the basic level, Yira 101, relationship 101. You know what you got to do first, Daniel? What do you got to do? How do you proceed that? Halicha b'drachav. You got to develop a shaykhis to chesed. You got to develop a mahalach of emulating the ways of Hashem, the kindness of Hashem. That's how you get. Now, at first time I saw this, blew my mind. What shaykhis does Yiras Hashem have to do with chesed? He doesn't explain. He just says, "Das steht in the Torah," Chavetz Chaim says, that if you're not going to be an oyev chesed, if you're not going to be someone who exercises and develops halicha b'drachav, you're not going to have any shaykhis to Yiras Hashem. So ask yourself, do you have Yiras Hashem? Do you? The answer is simple. See how stark you are in chesed. Now I've had people that called me up and told me, I do chesed, I don't feel the Yiras Hashem. I said, that's because you didn't hear yesterday's shit. That means you didn't hear what chesed means. The chesed you do is chesed le'umim. You do chesed that is not giving, it's taking. And even if you give chesed for giving, you have to do it to emulate Hashem. You're doing chesed to emulate, you pattern your chesed after Hashem's chesed. That's how you become aware of Hashem. The word yira comes from the word re'iyah. Seeing. You see Hashem, you're aware of Hashem. If I constantly am patterning, if I say to myself, should I be nice to Shalom Yud? So I say, what am I going to gain if I'm nice to him? Nothing. But you know what? I say, I'm going to be nice to him because Hashem is nice to him. And Hashem is nice to me. For what? For nothing. So therefore, I'm going to emulate Hashem and be nice to him also. If a person patterns his life and does chesed out of a sense of awareness of Hashem, he's going to get the Yiras Hashem. Now it says, what should a person do if he wants to get to the next level of avos Hashem? What do you do then? What you do is, you do more chesed. You have to be mishtali more, chesed more. And then you're going to come to avos Hashem. So the Chavetz Chaim, that's why it says the next pasuk, it says, first, and then you get av. You got to do alichim b'drachav to get avos Hashem. The guy can think, maybe hold my avos Hashem. Now I want to work on dveikus b'Hashem. So now I can kiss the people away. I'm not holding my dveikis of Hashem, I'm holding my bonding with Hashem. Closing my room and kissing the world goodbye. Coming up Shem and Yechai. You think now one thing, okay, you graduated, got your diploma ready, you finished. So the Chavetz Chaim, nay. You have to, if you want to get dveikis by Hashem, you have to be someone who's going to be shtali more in chesed. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So such an important zach. The guy has already moved from Kol and Yonah Ha'olam, Lagamri. But still he did chesed. See the Maises, the Chavetz Chaim, the chesed. Chaim Brisker, the chesed in it. It was not normal. Chaim was mafker shtub. Chaim shtub was hefker, it was a Brisker. Brisker wasn't push-ups. They're not pushover people. Before I even went to Brisk, I met Kent Morris. I met an old yid from Europe, and I asked him if he ever, where's he come from? Come from Brisk. He said, come from Brisk? You're a Brisker? So he said, yeah, I'm a Brisker. Come from the city of Brisk. I said, did you know Reb Chaim Brisker? He said, yes. I said, you knew Reb Chaim Brisker? What'd you know him? He said, I never talked to him, but I used to go to his house very, very often. I said, for what? He said, that was the place to hang out. There was always free tea, and there was always nash, and the people from the city would come there, hang around in his dining room, and they used to read this tzetlach on the wall. They used to glue, Pasha paint this wall with tzetlach. They wrote, no hanging any signs over here. Reb Chaim said, bring signs, you have to have signs? Put up other signs. I said, what do you remember from Reb Chaim? He said, I remember that his svarim shank was empty. I always wondered, a Rav with no svarim and svarim shank. What's the pshat? So when I went to Brisk, I asked my Rebbe about it. So he said, what's the shayla? My father told me that. People always were borrowing the svarim shank. So what the Yid didn't tell you is that one day, 2 Yidden saw an empty svarim shank, and the guy figured, I need a svarim shank in my house. So they picked up this svarim shank and carried it out. That's what they did. So the Brisker said, when we grew up, there was no such thing as our bed. There was no such a musig of our bed. Many, many times we'd come, there was somebody else in our bed. And not Rabbonim, not Chashuvim. Pshuti Am, Tzibrach and Yidnis, poor Yiddinis, people from the street. He said, Father, where should we sleep? Sleep in a chair. And we learned to sleep on a chair. We were trained to sleep on chairs. I said, laying down? No, sitting up. Balagan, there was no such a thing as my room. That's how it was. You know what that is? It's even mafker himself. It's old Echnosarchim. It's Avram Avinu's Lasarchim. Do you want to know what Reb Chaim's head was? He was Davak B'Hashem. Reb Chaim was the guest about Chesodim around. The Chavetz Chaim, what he did, it's not normal. I read a Nerdic story that part of it, when he came to America, he used to look in the phone books and look for names of Jewish names. He went to one shtetl and he sees a Yiddish name, he calls up the phone and he would speak in Yiddish. And he knew if they answered him back in Yiddish, that they were Yidden. So he comes in and he says, Shemaleich was macht Yid. The guy said, wow, so he hung the phone up. But the guy said something, he said, yeah, what's there? He said, I want to come bazuch you. He said, no, don't come to my house. He said, he'll come in. He said, don't come to my house. He said, I'm coming anyway. I'm just telling you. He told him who he was, Kahneman from Panovich, I'm coming to you. So the guy said, if you come only late at night. Comes to the guy's house, and the guy, he comes to the guy's and he crosses, every room is crosses. Crosses, mamish. So he asked the guy, what's this? What's the pshat is? He said, you shmat up? He said, no, I don't shmat, but I work for the church. I'm in a high position, a professor in the church here, and therefore I have to go along with the program. So he tells him, so why didn't you shmat up? He said it was a big nisayon. They wanted me to shmat up. I could have become the head of the whole kit and caboodle over here, but I didn't shmat up. He said, why? He said, I'll tell you my sister. And upon Yisroel was also Talmud for the Chofetz Chaim. He said, when I was a young boy, I was a Yosef for my father and my mother. They put me by a relative. So we got in SHLITA over there. It wasn't back then. One day they decided they could ship me off to Radin, learn Chofetz Chaim. They packed me up a suitcase. They put me on a train. It was very far away. They knew they wanted to make sure I went one way. I could never come back. So I ended up in Radin. So it was a couple-day trip. I come to Radin. I slept on trains and buses and wagons and this and that. And I asked somebody where the Chofetz Chaim lives. So they told me. So they take me to the Chofetz Chaim's house. I go to the Chofetz Chaim's house. It was the first day this month that I arrived. I was a little boy of 13 years old. And said the house is full of tall bachrim, much bigger than him. I felt out of place. I was tired. I put down my suitcase on the floor. I sat on top of it. The next thing I did the David thing. I went to sleep. I geschlafen. So, next thing I remember, he says, there's an old man, take me by my arms, come, legzach, come schlafen. And he picks him up, he puts him in his bed, he covers him up with what he thought was a blanket, and he fell asleep. In the middle of the night, he remembers, he said he woke up, and he saw that old man sitting by the table, holding a candle and learning in his shirt sleeves. The next morning when he got up, he realized that the Chofetz Chaim gave him his kapota, and he used that for his blanket. He said, "Stell sich vor, the Chofetz Chaim could have told anybody, take this bacharol and arrange your bed. But he put me in his bed, covered me with his kapota, and he sat up all night and learned. He didn't have to sleep. He fell asleep by the table. Chofetz Chaim. How's the shaykh such as that? Another nerdy kemais. So he said to the guy, to HaRav, an ummah, a nation, Tazalach mentioned, I'm having a difficult time parting from that nation. I can't say goodbye to the nation. I don't fear Zechvayid, but I want to belong to that club. Another nerdy kemais, a kid came to the Chofetz Chaim. The guy was very tired, and the Chofetz Chaim told him to go to sleep before Shabbos. And he went to sleep before Shabbos. The guy woke up in the middle of the... so the guy went to sleep. Chofetz Chaim at some point comes to him and says, come, let's go make Kiddush. Don't you think he just came home from shul? And he was sitting there. He said, let me call the Rebbetzin. The Rebbetzin was lying down to rest. Before I come home, he called the Rebbe and he sat down there against the Suda. At the end of the Suda, the guy walks around, he's walking around the house, goes into the kitchen, and he looks at the clock. And the clock says 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock in the morning. And he's thinking, 4 o'clock in the morning? Chofetz Chaim came up from shul. So the next day he asked the Rebbe, what was he doing? He said, no, Chofetz Chaim came home at 6 o'clock. We already ate. But he didn't want to wake you up because he saw you were sleeping tight. But he figured at 4 o'clock he already got a chashen to posh schlafen. He didn't want you to eat by yourself. So he woke you up to spend time with you. You feel you're part of the suit. And that is chesed. It's called chesed. The kid didn't even know about it. Not that he told him about it. That's called chesed nifl. This is something that we have to develop and think of opportunities to do chesed in ways for people that they don't even know about it. You go over to a bacher's bed and you make his bed. It's chesed. I like to go to a made bed. Everybody appreciates. No one likes to go into a sloppy bed. You ever did that to somebody, Shimon? Have you ever thought of doing that between roommates? Why not? You thought of making it cold for them. Why don't you think of making it comfortable for them? So therefore, if you do these things, you know what you're doing? You're doing amazing chesed. Develop the midah of chesed, Shmayo. You have to start thinking beyond yourself, not when the person asks you. Think of opportunities to develop. This is the hallmark. This is the ganze Torah. This is the Pshat, Chilosik Gemilas Chesed, Seifik Gemilas Chesed. The ganze Zach is to become a Baal Chesed. And a person has to know this. Now the Emes says, the Gemara says a loshon of Yasik B'Chesed. Gemara says, what should a person do? The Yinotzel Nechevlu Mashiach. It says Yasik B'Torah, Yasik B'Gemilas Chesed. Chevli Mashiach, Chesed is more necessary than other times. Very important. But now what the word is, it's Yasik. What's made Yasik? So Reb Chatzkel Levenstein writes as follows. Yasik b'Chesed means to make an Asik means kama omol v'yigia, how much toil and how much sweat is demanded from a person until he comes to Epis Chesed. Because the whole nature of a person is avis atzmai. A person loves himself. Jealousy is ingrained in a person from the womb. You know how much toil that a person needs to do to change his teva, that he should come to some madreg of chesed. So you hear what he says, Yasik means. The Chiddush of Reb Lazar was, Yasik b'Torah, Gemilas means you should be Isaac in making yourself over. That's what Isaac is. This is the chesed that they did, and this is the chesed that we need to do. So let's see. You think of many ways you can do chesed that no one even knows you're doing chesed. And if you do it, you're going to be zoichet the kol tuf.